The Splintered Aerie, a kilometer-high arch of fused spinal columns. Sky-Scythes pterosaur. Its wings are composed of sharpened, exposed ribs capable of shearing through reinforced concrete bunkers in a single supersonic pass. Cranial Swarm Lord, a floating cluster of avian skulls fused by necrotic tissue that utilizes sonic shrieks to liquefy the marrow of prey from a mile away. Needlebeak humming drake vibrates its serrated beak at frequencies that destabilize molecular bonds, allowing it to drink calcium directly from solid stone. Vertebral kite, a gliding horror that can detach its own spinal segments mid-flight to extend its reach and strangle aerial targets with prehensile bone whips. Gristle-wing vulture lacks feathers entirely, flying on stretched membranes of translucent cartilage that absorb radar waves and render it invisible to sensors. Ivory talon hawk possesses talons made of ultra-dense fossilized ivory that can puncture the hull of a tank as if it were parchment. Socket bat echolocates using empty eye sockets that project focused blasts of concussive air, shattering glass and eardrums instantly. Dust plume phoenix. Instead of fire, this avian construct perpetually sheds clouds of choking bone dust that calcifies the lungs of anything that breathes it. Scapula glider uses massive flat shoulder blades evolved into fixed wings to drift silently on thermal currents rising from decaying colossal carcasses. The Marrow bog, gates carved from the pelvis of a dead god. Skeletal Leech-Titan, a segmented worm the size of a subway train that drains the calcium from containment walls to reinforce its own diamond-hard carapace. Cartilage slug colossus, an amorphous mound of semi-translucent gristle that absorbs kinetic energy from projectiles and reflects it back as a massive shockwave. Femur strider arachnid stands 300 feet tall on legs made of hollowed mammoth bones, injecting necrotic enzymes into the earth to dissolve bedrock. Skull shell hermit, a crustacean monstrosity that utilizes the hollowed-out skull of a dragon as a mobile fortress, retreating inside to endure nuclear-level blasts. Spine-crawler centipede, each of its 1,000 legs, is a human-sized finger bone, allowing it to scale vertical surfaces with terrifying speed and dexterity. Marrow siphon mosquito. The size of a helicopter, it possesses a proboscis tipped with a diamond drill bit designed to bore into the bones of titans. Ooze drake, a lizard-like entity with no external skin, constantly weeping a corrosive fluid that melts metal flooring into slag within seconds. Ribcage trapdoor spider buries itself in the mud, leaving only an exposed ribcage above ground that snaps shut like a steel bear trap when triggered. Gelatinous vertebrae, a colony of sentient spinal discs that slide over each other to form a shifting, serpentine pillar of crushing bone. Fossil borer beetle. Its mandibles are harder than tungsten, allowing it to tunnel through geological time layers and emerge from the canyon walls unexpectedly. The petrified steppe, a mouth of jagged teeth wider than a canyon. Ossified Raptor King. Its skin has completely calcified into a living suit of white armor that deflects heavy artillery fire without sustaining a single scratch. Spinewhip Worm, a serpent composed entirely of disconnected vertebrae held together by telekinetic rage, capable of constricting a battleship until it crumples. Dust Breath Gorgonopsid exhales a cloud of microscopic bone shards that act like sand blasters, stripping the flesh from any biological entity in the sector. Plateback Devourer, an armadillo-like beast covered in overlapping pelvic bones that can roll into a sphere and crush fortification walls with immense momentum. Ivory Horn Charger, a bovine nightmare with tusks that grow backwards into its own skull, driving it into a perpetual, pain-fueled berserker rage. Serrated Tail Ankylosaur swings a tail club comprised of fused skulls that impacts with the force of a tectonic shift, creating localized earthquakes. Chalkhide Chameleon camouflages perfectly against the White Canyon walls before lashing out with a tongue made of sticky, elastic cartilage. Calcified Tusk Boar. Standing 40 feet at the shoulder, it digs up subterranean ruins with tusks that glow with radioactive decay from ancient eras. Razor Fin Dimetrodon. The sail on its back is a row of oscillating bone saws that generate a high-pitched hum capable of inducing paralysis. Gravel Maw Sand Swimmer, a limbless reptile that swims through solid gravel as if it were water, ambushing prey by erupting from the ground with jaws open. The Crypt of Behemoths, doors made of compressed dinosaur strata. Ancient Lich-Rex, a reanimated tyrant lizard that commands the skeletal remains of lesser beasts to form a living, moving phalanx around its decaying body. Thoracic Dreadnought, a terrestrial leviathan that walks on hundreds of rib legs, using its hollow chest cavity as a mobile prison for captured prey. Socket-Eye Behemoth, a towering tripod of bone with a single enormous eye socket that projects a beam of pure entropy, aging anything it touches by 1,000 years. Eternal Marrow Hydra. When one of its heads is severed, the wound instantly calcifies into two sharper, harder heads made of pure bone. Fossil Strider Colossus, so large that its footsteps create new canyons, this entity is an amalgamation of 10,000 distinct skeletons fused by time and pressure. Necrospine Dragon, a flightless dragon with a spine that extends hundreds of meters beyond its tail, used as a massive sweeping flail to level cities. Dust Storm Titan, a golem formed not of stone, but of swirling bone ash and compressed fossils, constantly reshaping its limbs to counter any attack. Ribspear Goliath can detach its own ribs and hurl them like telephone pole-sized javelins with pinpoint accuracy over a distance of 5 miles. The Shattered Emperor, a massive humanoid entity composed of the skulls of extinct apex predators, wielding a club made from a fossilized redwood tree. Omega-Fossil Serpent, an endless snake of bone that encircles the entire zone, constantly shedding its outer layer to reveal harder, sharper bone underneath.